Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaham Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste once again, everyone.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Yoyamatma swayam jyotihi panchakosha vilakshanaha avastatraya sakshi san nirvikaro niranjanaha sadhanandassa vigneyaha swatmatvena vipaschita. So, after dismissing the Panchakoshas as Anatma, the Acharya in the previous shloka said that it is not that once the Panchakoshas are dismissed, nothing remains after the negation of the Panchakoshas. He said that one entity which is not perceptible, which is not recognizable, which is not experienceable, remains, and he called that entity as Sakshi, the experiencer, the witness in the form of knowledge. That Sakshi remains as the culmination of the negation of the Panchakoshas. And this Sakshi Chaitanyam is unnegatable. And as we saw, this Sakshi Chaitanyam is referred to as Atma, the self. The meaning of the word I, which we often use in our worldly transaction. But when we use it in the worldly transaction, by the word I, we mean our body, mind, sense complex or the Panchakoshas. Therefore, we have got the twofold I. The popular conventional I, which we can, in English language, the small I, the dot in the top. As the worldly people understand, what we call the Laukika Aham. And the revised meaning of the word I, which we can denote by capital I as presented by the Shastra. And as I mentioned in the last class, we will be later using two technical words, Vachyartha and Lakshyartha, to differentiate between the small I and the capital I. The common meaning of the word I, which we use in our worldly transactions, and which refers to the Panchakoshas, is called Vachyartha. And the revised meaning of the word I, which was referred to in the previous shloka as Sakshi, is going to be Lakshyartha. So we must be familiar, we must become familiar with these two terminologies, Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. I think long ago we have seen the meaning of these what these Vachyartha and Lakshyartha denote. But still, in this context, I will just briefly explain. Vachyartha means the literal meaning of the word I. That's what, in normal parlance, on a day-to-day basis, in our transactions with the world. Whenever we say, I am Ganapathy, I am so and so and so, I am a male, I am so and so, I am fat, I am thin, etc. That I, which we are referring to, even while introducing ourselves, that is the small I, that is the Vachyartha, that is the literal meaning of the word I. And what is Lakshyartha? Lakshyartha means it is the implied meaning of the word I. Whenever we are using the Vachyartha, we are thinking that we are using the Lakshyartha, but actually what we are using is the Vachyartha. What is the example for Lakshyartha? Normally, we say, we refer to somebody who is let's say, a mathematical genius. We say, oh, he is a tiger in mathematics. What does that mean? He is a tiger means what? Does he walk on 4 legs? Does he have stripes in his body? Is he ferocious, always growling? We don't mean that. Because we say he's a tiger in mathematics, which means what? In the subject of mathematics, this person is like a tiger, very powerful, very strong. He will defeat all his opponents. So this is where we are using the word he is a tiger. We are not using it in the sense of the literal meaning of the word tiger. We are using it in an implied meaning, which is he is very strong, to indicate, to denote that he is very strong, very intelligent, etc. So, this is the difference between Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. And the best part is, in our day-to-day transaction also, many times we use Vachyartha, we use Lakshyartha without understanding the difference between the two. So simply, this is what is Vachyartha, literal meaning of the word, and implied meaning of a word. So whenever we are using the word I in our conversations, that I can be used in 2 ways. I can use it to mean my body, mind, sense complex. I can use the word I to refer to my Atma, my real self also. Aham. That's why Aham Brahmasmi, when we say, what is that I Aham we are referring to, we must understand very clearly. And here in this sloka, Shankaracharya is consolidating the revised I, the refined I, the Lakshyartha I. And he does that, establishes or consolidates the meaning in 5 verses, starting from this sloka number 61, which is under discussion. So he describes this Atma, the Sakshi, as self-effulgent, distinct from the 5 koshas, the witness of the 3 states of experience, yet changeless, untainted by any association, and always of the nature of fullness, and which should be known as oneself by one who is capable of viveka, capable of discriminating between Atma and Anatma. Only such a person who has understood the difference between Atma and Anatma, the consciousness principle and material principle. Only he will be able to make this distinction. And we also noted that the Atma, the original consciousness, is never experienceable as an object. It can be experienced only as a reflection, as Chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness through the reflecting medium, that is the mind. The Atma has to be known as I. It should be claimed as I by entertaining the relevant thought. And that Atma is to be known as myself, unobjectifiable, but claimable as I. And we also saw that this knowing without objectification or claiming is called aparoksha jnanam. But this requires a very, very subtle mind. Whenever we find it difficult to appreciate this message, the reason is our mind is not sufficiently subtle. And therefore, we have to engage in various sadhanas which will help in making our mind subtler and subtler. There are many sadhanas, but even the very repeated shravanam, listening to the Shastra again and again and again, itself makes the mind subtler and subtler. People don't understand this aspect. So what they do, they start attending the classes. After the initial stage and all, the Acharya, the Guru, the teacher, will keep talking about Atma. After some time, they will feel bored. What is this? I thought this person is going to teach Vivekachudamani. He's always talking about Atma, non-objectifiable, Sakshi, things like that and all. Already told, why again repeat it? I'm very intelligent. Once you tell me something, I will remember it. Such a person does not realize that by very saying that I am very intelligent, he is exhibiting a gross mind that he has got. He is exhibiting his ego, the strength of his ego, and which is totally an anathema to Vedantic study. You have to dilute your ego. If Acharya says Aham Brahmasmi 100 times, you listen to it 100 times. You will not realize what that is doing to you, but it is actually making your mind subtle and subtle and subtle. And therefore, without understanding this, without realizing these benefits, many people drop off from the class. That means what? They are not sufficiently qualified, sufficiently prepared for Vedanta. Many people take up PhD. There is no time limit for PhD. Normally they say 5 years, 7 years and all that on any subject. If they are lucky, they will get some good guide and they may finish it in 5-7 years. Otherwise, what happens? They will prepare one thesis, submit it. They will say, no, this correction has to be made. This has to be changed. This is not correct. So it will go on and on and on. And many people, even before they do the thesis and all, they drop out. In fact, in Vedanta studies, the dropout rate is very high, 99% dropouts. And that is why a true guru, when he finds that there is a huge crowd to attend this class, he will never get elated. He will know that after 10 classes, 15 classes, most of these people will stop attending. A true guru requires only one true student, because only one true student, one committed student is ultimately going to benefit from this knowledge. And every Acharya knows this. So one needs a very subtle mind. Various sadhanas, including Shravanam, will actually help us. In fact, the most subtle sadhana, which is prescribed in Taittiriya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, etc., is what they call space meditation, Akasha Upasana. Meditating on space. Space is nothingness, right? We can know the existence of space only when it is covered in certain container. But that covered in the container is what? It is nothing but a space only, and we refer it as a room or a container, etc. Whereas the space is all pervading. In fact, the space is the closest in its attributes to Atma. So, the Upanishads prescribe Akasha Upasana, meditating on the space, Akasha Bhuta, space element, to make the mind subtle and subtle. So what is Atma? He says, I am Atma. Iti Vigneyaha. There is a nice mantra in Keno Upanishad. Here, a student is asked by the Acharya, do you know what is Atma? Can you describe Atma to me? The student gives a very beautiful answer. Naham manye suvedeti nona vedeti vedacha. Yo nastadveda tadveda nona vedeti vedacha. Those who know Sanskrit will understand the beauty of this. He says, oh teacher, I know the Atma. Not that I know the Atma, I know I do not know. It appears as quibbling with words. But what the student wants to convey is, if I say I know the Atma, that means I don't know the Atma. And if I say I don't know the Atma, that means I know the Atma. What does it mean? It means that if I say I know the Atma, treating Atma as an object, because what is known are only experienceable things, objects are known. So when you say I know the Atma, that means I don't know the Atma. Well, Atma is not an object. And if I say I do not know Atma, that is also not correct, because I know the Atma, because that is myself. How can I not know myself? And therefore, this Atma is such a thing that if you say I know Atma, that means you do not know Atma. So he is quibbling with the words to convey the idea that Atma is neither a known object nor an unknown object. What is Atma then? Atma is the very subject the Sakshi, the witness, I. English language also, I is the subject. Any sentence you can divide into subject, object, right? What is the subject? When I say I am going, I is the subject, going is the object. Of course, that I, don't confuse. English language, I is referring to the body, mind, sense complex, but we are not on that. Just to say I represents Atma, the self, is the very subject. Once you understand this clearly, doubtlessly, that I, in my mind, I refer to the I as my real self, consciousness principle, that is Atma Jnanam. So the Acharya says, Saha Swatmatvena Vipaschita. Vipaschit means a person with a subtle intellect or subtle intellect. So this Atma, the revised I, should be known as oneself by one who has developed the capability of discrimination, Viveka. And this is the Shodhita Aham Padartha, Aham Pada Lakshyartha. And here, the student who is listening to this message for the first time is not able to get the message, which is very natural. He feels that the Vedanta is a bunch of words using some sophisticated Sanskrit terminologies, which do not seem to make sense. Of course, while in the class, out of respect for the Guru, he may nod his head as though he has understood. He may also say the class was very wonderful. But if the Guru asks, what all did I teach, what all did I say, the student will be compelled to admit, it all went above my head. I don't know what you are talking about. Therefore, here the Shishya is also overwhelmed. His brain is not able to move forward, and it is indicating that this is the experience of every student when he studies Vedanta for the first time, be it Tattva Bodha, be it Vivekachudamani, be it the Upanishads, be it Bhagavad Gita, anything that you study, you will initially find nothing goes into the head. Certain topics like Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha and all, that may make some sense. But even there, if, as we ourselves have experienced in this class, when we come to Anandamaya Kosha, Karana Shariram, and dismiss all that and come to consciousness and claim that I am consciousness, suddenly the student will find that I am getting the words but not the meaning. Every student will face this issue. It has happened to me also. I am telling this because if it happens to you, don't get upset. Don't feel bad. Only you have to continue. Even if you don't understand, read and listen again and again and again. Continue with the Shravanam. Suppose there is an old knife you have got. The edges of the knife are blunt. You try to cut something, some fruit or something. It is not able to cut. What will you do? Will you throw away the knife? You want to cut the fruit and eat it. So you will take one knife sharpener, right? Start sharpening the knife. After some time, you will again test it, whether it cuts. It may not cut. Depending upon how blunt the knife is to begin with, so much time it will take to become sharpened. and then to be used for the purpose for which it is meant. So the more upasanas you practice, more meditation you practice, more shravanam you do, more karma yoga sadhanas you do, what you are doing, you are continuously sharpening the mind, sharpening the knife of your mind. And at some stage, the mind will become sufficiently sharpened, means sufficiently subtle. And everything that you have heard till now will all start making sense at the same time. That's a beauty. You thought that initially you didn't understand anything, but since you are committed, you continued with the teaching instead of abandoning the teaching and say, this is not my cup of tea. You continued, and one fine day, you will realize. And it happens to every student, I can tell you that. Not exaggeration. Happens to everybody. Unless, of course, only exception is that if you have come already with a sufficiently subtle mind, in the sense that you are born, your previous janma practices, or you have done all these things in your previous janma. What was left was only a small portion for you to reach that ultimate end of Paramapada Moksha. And then you come and you start again in this janma listening to Vedanta. You will find, oh yes, you're carrying the samskaras from the previous janma, that you will be able to relate to what is being taught. Even if you are not taught, like Ramana Maharshi, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi and all, they will be able to, the moment they start, the intellect develops, they will know the reality, they will know the truth. They will be in a position to actually narrate the truth to people. So this whole moksha package contains a lot of things, lot of inputs, and you have to watch every aspect of it. Like, do you have sufficient vairagyam? When you have got a very important assignment, important worldly laukika task, same time there is a Vedanta class, what will you choose? You will choose Vedanta or you will choose the worldly affair? Big test for your commitment. So all these things lead to one thing, that initial stages, any Shishya will be confused, bewildered. Here also the Shishya is confused. So he poses a question, a most natural question. In verse number 62, we will read. Shishya uvacha mityattvena nishiddeshu koshveteshu panchasu sarvabhavam vina kinchit na pashyam yatra he guro vigneyam kimu vastvasti swatmana atma vipaschita. So the Anvaya is, Hey Guru, eteshu panchasu kosheshu mityatvena nishiddeshu sarva abhavam vina kinchit atra na pashyami atma vipaschita swatmana vigyeyam vastu kimu asti. Very beautifully he is expressing his confusion. He says, all panchakoshas are negated, and you say what is left after negation of the panchakoshas is Atma, but I don't see any Atma. So we will see more detail. Word meaning Shishya Uvacha. The student asks, Hey Guru, O Guru, Eteshu Panchasu Kosheshu. When these five koshas, Mityatvena, as not true, as not real, Nishiddeshu, have been negated, Sarva Abhavam, the absence of everything, Vina, except Kinchid, anything, Atra, here, Na Pashyami, I do not see. Atma Vipaschita, by the one who is adept in deliberation upon the self. Swatmana Vigneyam, that is to be known as oneself. Vastu, anything. Kimu asti, is there anything such, any such thing indeed? So the student is asking, O Guru, when these five koshas have been negated as not true, I do not see here anything except the absence of anything, everything. Is there indeed any vastu to be known as oneself by the one who is adept in the deliberation upon the self? Very natural question, isn't it? When you say there is nothing, suppose the Acharya says, please go and see what is there. Or say, what is there in your hand? Your hand is empty. You say, there is nothing in my hand. Acharya will ask you, is that when you say there is nothing in my hand, is that a knowledge or not? So even knowing that there is nothing is a knowledge. So here the Shishya says, Hey Guru, I have difficulty in grasping your message. He says, Eteshu panchasu kosheshu mityatvena nishiddeshu. Suppose, as you have taught, I negate each kosha one by one. Annamaya is not Atma, Pranamaya is not Atma, Manomaya is not Atma. Thus I keep on negating the world, negating the koshas, negating the thoughts. Suppose I keep on negating Nishiddeshu. Nishiddeshu means they are all negated. Suppose they are all negated. Mithya tvena, as mithya. Even though the word mithya has got several meanings, including unreal, not true, it doesn't have a meaning of false, mind you. Mithya does not mean false. Many people wrongly translate mithya as false. Vedanta does not falsify the word, it only negates the reality of the world. These two things are different. We will see all the details as we go through the shlokas. Here we have to translate mithya as anatma. Well, that is what we are negating. And all anatmas put together is the world. In fact, we have seen I have briefly explained the meaning of the word mithya in one of the earlier contexts. If you remember, well and good. If not, for the time being, you can translate mithya as anatma as the non-self. Satyam and mithya. Satyam is my real I. Mithya is everything else other than my real I, the non-self. So suppose I negate, and once I negate every anatma, what I experience is only blankness, as it happens in deep sleep. And this will be the experience if a person practices this anatma negation in meditation also. In sleep, anatma naturally gets negated. In meditation, I deliberately negate the anatma. But irrespective of whether I negate the anatma naturally or as in sleep or deliberately as in meditation, my experience is what? Total blankness only. As we have seen Shastra names that blankness as Karana Shariram, Mula Vidya. But the so-called Karana Shariram I experience only as blankness because Karana Avastha is a state in which everything is undifferentiated, avyaktam, non-experienceable, like in a seed. The whole tree is in a seed, but undifferentiated. So we can't experience the tree in the seed. I experience only blankness then. And since blankness alone is left behind, hey Guru, do you mean to say that that blankness is the Atma? Because Guru said, whatever after negating all the Anatma, all the Pancha Koshas, what is left is Atma. So here Shishya says, once I negate everything, what is left is blankness. Do you mean to say that blankness is the Atma? Because you said whatever remainder is the Atma. I see the remainder as blankness. I do not experience anything else. And this is the problem of many people who engage in meditation without studying the Shastra. Meditating without Shastric study will take one to a dead end only. There are people who have been meditating for a number of years. In fact, they are the followers of Ashtanga Yoga. Samadhi stage, they are even able to go to a state of thoughtlessness. They gain expertise in that. Okay, after that what? They do not know what is next. Because when the thoughtlessness stage they reach, they don't see or experience anything. They are waiting for some mystic experience to come. But they can see only blankness. It is natural. Because Atma or consciousness is not going to appear in meditation. Atma is not Anatma to come and go. Agama Payitvam is not there for Atma. For all Anatma, Agama Payitvam is there. Therefore, we will all be stuck if we practice meditation without scriptural study. And that's why, a traditional teacher never introduces meditation in the beginning stages of the course. Unfortunately, there are teachers who are not from the tradition, from the parampara. Some who are called the mystics, who try to teach meditation without the background of Shastric study. That type of meditation may help in gaining the state of Samadhi, but that will not give moksha. Because once you have reached the Samadhi stage, you cannot stay in that stage permanently, isn't it? At some stage, you will have to come out of meditation. What will happen then? You are back to samsara. So even Samadhi stage of Ashtanga Yoga, though it's very good, very helpful as a meditational practice, even for Vedanta. But if you engage in that meditation with full knowledge of what the scriptural teaching is, then you will not get into this dead-end thing. You will say, okay, this takes me only up to this. Ashtanga Yoga, practice of Ashtanga Yoga, very helpful for Vedanta, very helpful, one of the most important aspects of the moksha passage or moksha package, can take me only up to this. It cannot take me beyond this. With that understanding, if you meditate, you will not be confused, you will not be disappointed when you reach the Samadhi stage. And unfortunately, many spiritual seekers, without understanding this, they are only interested in meditation. Because I can tell people, oh, I am meditating every day. For what? Nobody knows. So what they do, they throng only to such teachers who are not from Parampara. Meditation is a glamorous sadhana, and world loves glamour, isn't it? So they all go to such teachers who are engaged in all these glamorous practices, earning tons and tons of money. That is not the road to moksha. That is not the Vedic approach. So Veda in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nitidhyasattavyaha. So first Shravanam should come, Mananam should come, then only Nididhyasanam. Several years of study should be there before meditation. Never attempt Atma Dhyanam, Vedantic meditation. Even if you want to engage your mind in a meditation sadhana in the initial stages, you can take some Manasa Puja, Manasa Japa, etc. That's okay. Continuously repeating so that the mind becomes subtler and subtler, sharper and sharper. So before even the teaching starts, you can practice mental japa, mental recitation of verses, mental puja. There is a beautiful shloka called Shiva Manasa Puja. It's a purely a Shiva Puja done mentally. First understand the meanings, then meditate on that puja. Bring all the slokas in your mind. That is a puja itself. That is called upasana dhyanam, which again is not removing the thoughts like in samadhi state of Ashtanga yoga. It is focusing on a single thought. For that kind of a meditation, you need an alambanam. And that alambanam can be Shiva Manasa Puja, the slokas of Shiva Manasa Puja. So thought-removing meditation without Vedantic study will take a seeker to a dead end. And that is the dead end that this Shishya is referring to by saying, I don't experience anything other than blankness. So what does he experience? He says, Sarva abhavam vina kinchit atrana pashyami. Sarva abhavam vina. I experience only the absence of everything, including thoughts, which is blankness. Kinchit atra na pashyami. I do not experience anything else. Of course, when people are practicing Ashtanga Yoga, they reach the Samadhi stage and all. Some people may get some mystic experiences also. Some people talk about hearing some anahata nada, shabda, etc., a sound resembling Omkara. Some people experience rings of light, various colors, even smells, forms. And many people conclude that that is Atma. They forget that what they experience is also only an object. It is a mysterious experience presenting in mysterious anatma, appearing and disappearing. So that is also an object which appeared during meditation, and after when you come out of the meditation, it disappeared. Thus, every mystic experience presents only some mystic anatma. Atma will, however, never appear or present itself in front of me because I am the Atma. I can't present myself before me as an object. So this must be very clear. And those of you who are thinking of, about meditation and things like that and all must note this very carefully. So atra, in this Panchakosha Viveka exercise, kinchit na pashyami, I do not see anything. The student is desperate. So he pleads, Hey Guru, oh Guru, oh Guru, please help me out. Kim u vastu vigyayam asti. You say that a reminder has to be known. Vigyayam means it has to be known. But I do not see any reminder other than blankness. What is there to be known? Here the student is not asking a question. He is actually, he is paraphrasing what the Guru's words were. Swatmana Atma Vipaschita. He said, Guru said. Right? Sorry, the Guru said Swatmatvena Vipaschita. Here he is asking Swatmana Atma Vipaschita Kimu Asti. That means what? What is there to be known as I, the self? Kimu Asti is not a question to elicit an answer. Kimu Asti is a rhetorical question. It is called Aksheparthakim, Natu Prashnarthe. It means there is nothing to be known. And this is a very natural consequence. When you completely negate this entire prapancha, entire universe as anatma, the natural thing is you will only be left with what? Blankness, emptiness. And that is why, nihilism, one of the schools of Buddhism, their philosophy is Shunyavada. So when it is said, what is left is the reality and blankness is left, so they said that blankness is the reality, emptiness is the reality. This is their conclusion. Some Buddhists. Very unfortunate. It is not emptiness. It looks like emptiness because I experience only emptiness. So this is the desperate, sincere question of a serious seeker. If he is not a serious seeker, he will not be bothered. For him, Vedanta will be a hobby or a passion. Many people are going to attend the classes. Rich people are going. People who have got some celebrities, they go for Vedanta. Neighbors are going. So let me also go and sit there. So if I am not a serious student, I will not bother. Okay, whatever the Guru is teaching, Atma, Anatma, then Panchakosha, negation, all that. Okay, good, fine. If somebody asks, they will repeat all those things. This is all what he taught. They will have no idea that they are coming to Vedanta only for one purpose, for reaching the moksha stage. Therefore, if I am a serious student, this question, what is it that you say is left after the negation of the Panchakoshas? I see only blankness. So, Guru, please explain to me, what is this blankness you are talking about? A serious student will be very curious to know because he feels that he has reached a dead end. And now the teacher gives the answer. We have to read two verses, 63 and 64 together because grammatically it is one concept. We will read. Shri Guru Vacha Satyamuktam Tvaya Vidwan Nipunosi Vicharane Ahamadi Vikaraste Tadabhavoyamapyanu Sarve Yenanubhuyante Yasvayam Nanubhuyate Tamatmanam Veditaram Viddhi Buddhyasu Shukshmaya. So the Anvaya of these two slokas put together is Vidwan Tvaya Uktam Satyam Vicharane Nipunaha Asi Yena te Ahamadi Vikaraha Ayam Tadabhavaha Api Anu Sarve Anubhuyante Yaha Swayam Na Anubhuyate Tam Veditaram Sukshmaya Buddhya Atmanam Vidhi. Long Anvaya, but two slokas put together. He says, Vidwan, O learned one, O learned student, Tvaya, by you, Uktam, what was said, Satyam is true. Vicharane Nipunaha Asi, you are adept, you are an expert in inquiry. Ena, by whom, Te, those, Ahamadi Vikaraha, modifications from Ahankara onwards. I am this, Tad Abhavaha, their absence. Api also, Anu, that follows. Sarve, all these. Anubhuyante, are experienced. Yaha, who, Swayam himself, Na Anubhuyate, is not experienced. Tam, that, Veditaram, the knower. Sukshmaya Buddhya, through a very subtle intellect, Atmanam, as the self, Vidhi, may you know. Quite a long word meanings, but very, very profound meaning. So the Guru says, O learned one, what was said by you is true. I can see your commitment to learn. You are adept in inquiry. You are catching hold of the correct point to ask a question. Through a subtle intellect, may you know the one by whom all these modifications from Ahankara onwards, as well as their absence that follows, are experienced, but who himself is not experienced as yourself, the knower. So the Guru says, Hey Vidwan, the Guru is appreciating the sincerity of the student. Vidwan means a person capable of inquiry. So, hey Vidwan, O intelligent student, perceptive student, discerning student. See, this is how the Guru approaches the student. Especially a student who he finds to be a committed student, who is seriously interested. All Acharyas, Gurus love such students. And when you say such words, the student is also motivated. So, hey Vidwan, O discerning student, Tvaya Satyam Uktam, what is said by you is true. You have stated the truth. Once every anatma is negated, there is nothing to be known. Because if there is something to be known, that something again will be a known thing, which will be an object, which will therefore be another anatma only. And anything known is different from the knower, the Atma. Therefore, when you say there is nothing to be known, you are right. There is nothing to be known as an object. And then the second statement Guru makes, Vicharane Nipunaha Asi. You are adept in inquiry, you are an expert in self-inquiry. Nipunaha means expert or smart. Vicharane, in this subtle inquiry. Again, such statements, they create a certain enthusiasm in the disciple. Oh, you are an expert. Very good. That's a very good question you are asking. So, Nipunaha Asi means you have come up to this point and are able to see the Mithyatvam of the five koshas. Many students will refuse to dismiss the five koshas, negate the five koshas. They say, what I experience is the reality for me. My body, mind, sense complex is the reality. They will not go further at all. They will actually negate the Atma. And they say, we want Atma Jnanam. There are people like that. So, the Guru is saying, that what you are saying is correct. And it goes further. If that is so, if once every Anatma is negated, there is nothing to be known, then why use the word Vidhi, may you know? So it looks like a contradiction. On the one hand, there is nothing to be known. And then the Guru says, may you know. So what is there to be known? So the teacher says that when you say there is blankness, when you say there is nothing, that nothingness is revealed or not? Are you aware of that nothingness? Do you have the knowledge of that nothingness? If the nothingness is unrevealed, then you can never talk about nothingness. If I ask you a question, in that neighboring room, is there something or not? And if a person says there is something, it means he has gone and seen. Then only he can say there is something. And if there is another person who says there is nothing in that room, I know it very clearly. He can say only if he has gone to the room and seen the nothingness, then only he can say there is nothing in the room, isn't it? Both cases, if there is something or there is nothing, a person, it should be revealed to that person by his experience. Therefore, to talk about the presence or absence of anything, you require a revealing principle. Without a revealing principle, you cannot talk about presence or absence. Even nothingness you cannot talk about unless that nothingness is revealed. Else it will be blind speculation. You'll say, I think there is nothing there. Blind speculation. So if nothingness has to be a fact, the fact of nothingness has to be revealed. And if it is revealed, the fact that there is nothing cannot be correct because there is something, some revealing principle which reveals the nothingness. That means there is something which is there to reveal the nothingness. Thus, the so-called nothingness is in fact the presence of something which alone reveals the absence of everything else. So if nothingness has to be a fact, if nothingness has to be known, it means there is something which is revealing the absence of everything, which alone is called nothing. All this, of course, jumbling of words and all. So, Acharya here wants to establish that when you say there is nothing, It indicates a knowledge on your part. You have gained that knowledge that there is nothing. Who is that? What is that entity which has made you understand, made you know that there is nothing? So slowly the Acharya is guiding the students to the Atma consciousness principle. More we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namah.
Om Shri Guru
Harihi Om.
Harihi
Thank you all very much.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you.
Jai
Thank you,
Sri Ram,
Guruji.
Guruji.
Jai Sri Ram. Tomorrow is Jai Sri Ram Day. Yes, Lataji.
Yes.
Namaste, Guruji. Pranam.
Pranam.
Guruji, maybe my question is premature, I think, because as as you were suggesting in the previous classes, do the Shravanam again, and then most of the doubts will be clarified. Whatever we had, maybe I should listen to today's session once again before asking the question. But in the beginning of the session today, Guruji, you were mentioning two words like Vachya Lakshanam or Kriya
Vachyartha
Lakshanam.
and Lakshyartha.
Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. Is it possible to explain the meaning once again, Guruji? If it's not the Vachyartha and Lakshyartha, would it be possible to explain the distinction and the meaning? Otherwise, I'll listen to the session once again and then come back to you.
2 minutes job, it's not a problem. Vachyartha means the literal meaning of the word I. Whenever we use the word I, what do we refer to? What is our understanding that we want to convey in our day-to-day transactions?
Yes, Guruji.
When you say I am Lata Vijayan, what is that Lata Vijayaram? Is it your Atma? Is it your body, mind, sense complex? What are you referring to? When you say I am 5 feet tall or 6 feet tall, what are you referring to?
The physical aspect.
Physical aspect, correct?
Yes.
So, whenever we use that I, the word I, in normal day-to-day transactions, we refer to the body, mind, sense complex or panchakoshas.
Right.
That is the literal meaning of the word I, right?
So that is Vachyartha.
So that is the Vachyartha.
Okay.
The Artha of the Vak, Aham.
Yes, good.
Vak means word, right?
Yeah.
Now, suppose you make a statement.
Guruji, I think I got it now, Guruji. Because I was traveling and then the connectivity was not great.
Okay.
And now when you use the other, gave the other example of somebody's a lion in mathematics. So you're just using that comparison.
When we say that the other person does not understand, right?
Yeah.
That we are referring to some big lion with a lot of this thing and all. He will understand that we are referring to a certain quality of the lion, which this person says.
Yes, Guruji. Got it. That's Lakshyartha. Yeah.
Lakshyartha.
I think in English grammar, there's some word for that, simile and not simile. I think it's got another word. Yeah, I got it, Guruji. Whatever you said.
Exactly. So that is what it is, Vachyartha. And it is very important because we are always using Vachyartha, that there is a Lakshyartha for the word I, which is referring to my Atma. It never occurs to us because we don't know about it.
Yes.
The
And
implied
in our day-to-day,
of the
in
word
our
I
day-to-day
is
life
actually
also.
Atma,
Yes, Guruji.
isn't it?
Yes, Guruji. In our day-to-day life also, the whenever we say I, it is mostly referring to the body-mind complex only. Only in special situations, probably we will refer to the big I.
Yeah, there also one distinction you must note.
Uh-huh.
Actually, in day-to-day conversation also, when we say I, we are referring to our real self only.
Yeah,
But
okay.
because of
Guruji.
our ignorance of that fact, we are holding on to the body, mind, sense complex.
All right.
While
No,
we
Guruji,
say
for example, when I
aham,
say
when we say aham, it means the real I only.
right.
But what happens, because we are not aware of that, what is this Atma, consciousness, Brahman, etc.
Yeah.
We are, on the one hand, we are using the right word, but giving it a wrong, mistaken identity in Vachyartha. But we need not
Right.
worry about that now. As long as you understand what is Vachyartha and what is Lakshyartha,
Yeah.
that is enough, because whenever we are referring to I in Vedanta, aham, that is Lakshyartha we are referring to. What is the implied meaning of the word I? That's all. So
Yes,
aham
Guruji.
brahmasmi, when you say, it does not mean that my body, mind, sense complex is Brahman. Understand? That's the implied meaning of aham. You have to take that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Guruji. Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank
Hari Om,
you.
Guruji.
Any other question? I think only 3 people are left. So obviously, there may not be any questions. So we'll close the session and continue next week.
Thank you,